breaking down the Vikings from the perspective of a former NFL General Manager of the Year. It's Jeff Diamond's Purple Report, presented by your select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers.
Welcome to Jeff Diamond's Purple Report, Monday edition, brought to you by your select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers on 1500 ESPN. We're on every Monday and Thursday, the rest of the Viking season, hopefully 3 more regular season weeks and some playoff weeks. They've got some work to do, and we are available 24/7 on YouTube via links from the 1500 ESPN and Score North websites. I'm Jeff Diamond, former Vikings GM, former Tennessee Titans president. Our producer is AJ Fredrickson, does a great job putting our show together. And AJ, shall we say another missed opportunity for the Vikings happened once too many times this year?
Yeah, that might be an understatement.
Yeah, exactly. Now I think we're up to about 5 games that, by all rights, they had a very good chance to win, even going back to the opener against Tampa Bay, the Chargers, the Broncos, the Bears, and now the Bengals, a game they blow a 2-touchdown lead in the fourth quarter. Just really disappointing outcome.
Yeah, it was definitely a game that they could have and I think should have won. It's unfortunate that they let it kind of slip away from there at the end. Just, when it seems like all they need is 1 or 2 things to go right and everything in that final frame just doesn't. Kind of bad news. There are some times earlier in the game as well that it seemed like, and we'll get into it, especially that second Nick Mullins interception. I don't know what we're doing there, but yeah, Jeff. In we talked about it last week, kind of in the driver's seat, so to speak, but in the back seat, where if they won out, they win the division. Now they're gonna have to, I believe, if my math is correct, get a little help from the Lions losing to more than just them. So
that's correct.
So it'll be a wild one here down the stretch. Obviously, they're not out of the playoff picture by any means, but it was a little bit of a blow to the just morale with that loss on Saturday.
Yeah, I think it definitely shrinks the margin for error, shall we say, that if they'd gotten to 8-6, they would have really been in great shape with a really strong conference record of 6-3. But with that loss, now they're tied with the Rams, tied with the Saints at 7-7. They're holding the 6th seed, but it's a little precarious right now. And you look at the Rams' schedule, particularly a little easier down the stretch. And they've been hot. They've won 4 of the last 5. Stafford's playing really well. It was good for the Vikings that the Packers got beat by Tampa Bay. That was a positive. And we'll see what happens with Seattle against Philly in the Monday night game. It would help the Vikings if Seattle gets another defeat. But the Vikings have to take care of their own business starting on Sunday against the Detroit Lions, first of 2 big matchups with the Lions over the last 3 weeks. Fortunately, the first one is home at U.S. Bank Stadium. Kevin O'Connell talked today about wanting to get the crowd really amped up for this game, which I'm sure they will be, because everybody knows how important this game is to the Vikings' chances. I think the interesting thing, when you look at the remaining games, Detroit, Green Bay here, Packers are reeling now with 2 straight losses. Defense is a mess. And then at Detroit in the finale, well, if the Vikings were to get beat on Sunday by the Lions will clinch the division, basically, and put them in a position, maybe the last game doesn't even matter in Detroit. It might help the Vikings if the Lions rest some players. So they might even still be able to get in at 9-8. I think they have to take the attitude, let's win all 3, let's get to 10-7. That'll assure a playoff spot, and very likely, if they won all 3, I think they'll win the division, because I think Dallas will beat Detroit in Week 17. But first things first, they just have to take care of business. And before we get into our highlights and some lowlights from the Bengals game, a game that was certainly eminently winnable, I'm going to vent a little bit, AJ, on the coaching in this game. And
yeah, go by all means.
From the standpoint, and I'm going to talk about Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores. And I think that these guys have really done well this year to keep the Vikings in playoff contention with so many major injuries. Kirk Cousins, we know the effect that has had on the quarterback spot and the offense. Justin Jefferson, of course, who was really back in good form on Sunday, missing Jordan Hicks for several weeks on defense, their leader, and now O'Connell said today that his window is opening back up. He's going to start practicing this week, could play on Sunday, potentially if the leg is okay and responds well this week. And that would be a big addition. I think that would help them on some of these breakdowns that they're having defensively late in games where receivers are getting open in the middle of the field, which happened against the Bears on the big play by DJ Moore. It happened again in the Bengals game when Jamar Chase on a 3rd and 21 gets open in the middle. Those kind of plays can't happen, and that's what leads to losses when you give up those kind of big plays. But from O'Connell's standpoint, I think, and there's been a lot of conversation about the tush push and how he formulated that plan, which was to go in 11 personnel, as he calls it, which is basically 3 wide receivers and trying to keep the Lions from bulking up inside. But, hey, they know as soon as Brandon Powell starts moving inside, they know it's going to be a quarterback sneak. So what are you doing having a 180-pound wide receiver as your pusher instead of having Josh Oliver at 260 and TJ Hawkinson at 258 and maybe put Blake Brandel in there at 315 and put them all behind there? Because if you're going to count on Garrett Bradbury to block B.J. Hill, which he got blown up on the second one, and we're going to see that in the highlights, it's just not – it's going to be a difficult play. And you don't have a quarterback that is Jalen Hurts, who has this immense lower body strength to pick up those kind of plays, as the Eagles have perfected the play. But the Vikings obviously have not, even though they've had some success on quarterback sneaks. But often it's in a hurry-up situation. The Bengals were smart to call a timeout and get set. And so I have a definite bone to pick with O'Connell on that plan. And he even talked today in his media session. I think that if he had to do it over again and the next time, perhaps he will have some bigger people in there doing the pushing. Unfortunately, it probably cost them the game to learn that lesson. And then from Flores' standpoint, you go into this game against Jake Browning. He's got a 128 rating against the blitz. So what do you do at the end of the game, late in the fourth quarter on those touchdown drives? You're blitzing him constantly, and you're leaving a Caleb Evans hung out one-on-one with T. Higgins, who's 4 or 5 inches taller than him, and Evans can't get himself in position. He retreats into the end zone, which he's done enough times to see that's a problem. And we saw it with Mekhi Blackmon against Cortland Sutton in Denver, the same kind of situation. These guys are getting out-positioned, out-jumped by these tall receivers, and you got to double cover the primary guys in this situation. Jamar Chase was out of the game, so why would you not be double covering T. Higgins in that situation? So Flores, he's done a great job this year, but there have been some problems from time to time late in games. They've now lost 3 games late in the ball game, and this latest one against Cincinnati. Yes, they can still make the playoffs. Yes, they can still recover, but wow, how much easier would it have been if they'd been able to play better down the stretch in so many games.
Right.
And if they didn't have some of these major injuries. So a lot of things going to play in a football season. I've seen that over my long career when guys get hurt and it just discombobulates everything, especially if it's your starting quarterback. And Mullins, O'Connell did say he's going to start against Detroit, which we expected. And he had some good moments in the game, made some good throws. But how many times were guys contorting their bodies to make catches? Jefferson, Hawkinson, Josh Oliver. To their credit, there were no drops in this game, which was a big improvement over the last game against Vegas. But Mullins is not the accurate quarterback Cousins is. And I would think the wise move going forward, lean on Ty Chandler a little more, 132 yards rushing, and they should have leaned on him on those 3rd and 4th down tush pushes. At least one of those plays, Ty Chandler should have got the call, and I think he would have picked up the first down. So just as we said, a lot of what-ifs in that game against Cincinnati, as has been the case so often this year. But let's go to our highlights, courtesy of Chris Rose and Jason McCourty on NFL Network from last Saturday. Vikings at Cincinnati. They haven't had a lot of success in Cincinnati historically, and that continued. But early in the game, Vikings on their first drive, their first opening drive TD of the season, and capped off by a Ty Chandler touchdown.
Miles Murphy late to the party for the Bengals as he's trying to find the right defensive alignment. Hand off to Chandler, spins, and he is in.
Okay, that might have been a nice play to run in overtime.
Maybe.
Maybe, yeah, that's just saying. Okay, so Vikings get an early lead in the game, go to the second quarter, and then Bad Nick shows up with a couple of really bad interceptions. The first one, after a long drive, 7-minute drive, and just disheartening to make a bad throw like this for this interception.
Mullins throws it across the middle, and the ball is picked off by Hilton. Mike Hilton with the INT. His second of the year keeps points off the board for the Bengals D.
And they're in the red zone there. That's 3 points that cost them. Could have made the difference in the game.
Yeah.
And then here's the next interception, which was even worse as Mullins is falling down. And I don't know what he's trying to do. He says he's trying to get rid of the ball. It's going to be a grounding call if he does. Mm-hmm. So just take the sack and let Joseph kick a 49-yard field goal. But here's a really bad play by Nick Mullins.
Mullins pressured again, and he gets dropped by B.J. Hill. Did he lose the ball on top of it? The refs say yes. It is a turnover.
I don't know what he was thinking there. He gets up and he's like, it's a forward. I threw it forward. It's not a fumble. But it's still an interception.
You threw it to Hill.
Yeah.
And so it is an interception. Costs another 3 points. Vikings are up 7-3 at half. Should be no worse than 13-3 at that point. Come out in the third quarter. Another good long drive in the game. And capped off by I'm not sure if you call this a great play by Mullins, but certainly a fortunate play.
Yes.
as he gets blitzed and gets rid of the ball. And Addison makes a fantastic shoestring catch for a 37-yard touchdown.
3rd and 9, Mullins just gets the snap away, pressured again, throws it off his back foot, caught. It's caught by Addison. He's going to go all the way in for a touchdown.
And I'm not, like you said, I'm not sure if that's as good of a play or possibly beneficial of the route being run by Jordan Addison.
Well, yeah, and it's a great catch. And let's just say it, a little bit lucky. It's one of those plays you're going, oh, no, when he's throwing the ball off his back foot as he's getting knocked down. Then you go, oh, yes, as it's a touchdown.
Yes.
And the next series, so the Vikings are up 14-3 at that point, looking good, third quarter. And then they get an interception from a Caleb Evans.
Just continue to move the ball down the field.
Browning looks, throws, and that ball is picked off by a Caleb Evans.
And the defense did some good things in this game. 5 sacks, that interception. Daniil Hunter, another great game. 2 sacks, 3 tackles for loss. Has a career high 15.5 sacks now. But just not enough late in the game when they needed it. And again, helped by some miscues on defense, some over-aggressiveness by Brian Flores with the blitz. And here's one of those plays where T. Higgins beats Cam Bynum.
Joe Mixon in the backfield. Browning looks, throws to the end zone. Higgins touchdown! Cincinnati!
That's a great throw by Browning, and you could just see how poised he was in the pocket in the face of Metellus blitzing. Again, I say, why are you blitzing him so much when he's so effective against the blitz? Again, in the fourth quarter, Joe Mixon on a touchdown run here, and just look how Ivan Pace smacks him in the hole, but guys are kind of standing around and not helping Pace to wrap him up.
And Browning in the shotgun with Mixon next to him. Mixon gets it, gets popped, second effort is into the end zone for a touchdown.
That's a great hard run by Mixon. A good force by Ivan Pace. He just can't wrap him up. And Mixon is certainly a fine running back, but that's where you got to gang tackle a guy like that. But the Vikings respond. At this point, it's now a 17-all game. Vikings respond quickly, go down the field. Ty Chandler has a 30-yard run down to the 1-yard line. And here's another crazy play call, I thought, in the game by Kevin O'Connell. 1st and goal at the 1. You've got a quarterback who has already thrown 2 terrible interceptions in the red zone. You got a running back who's hot, who just took it down to the 1-yard line. What are you doing having Mullins try to throw and backing up and retreating? This is really a lucky touchdown.
And he's going to throw it. Mullins, plenty of time, rolls out, throws it back across his body. It's caught by Addison for a touchdown. What in the world was Nick Mullins doing? And how did Addison get it done?
That was an insane play.
Yeah.
You just can't make that throw in that. Just throw it away in that situation. It ends up great, a touchdown, but it was such a dangerous throw into traffic, and Addison makes a great play in that situation. He had a great game, 111 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's tied now with Sam Laporta of the Lions, who the Vikings will see this week with 9 touchdowns among rookies in the league in touchdown receptions this year. So the Vikings up 24-17. Defense, it's your turn. Time to hold them. Can't get it done. Down the field they go against the blitz in the last minute. And why you're not doubling T. Higgins at the end of the game, here's what happens.
48 seconds to go. It's 2nd and 10 with 3 receivers to the right. Browning looking. Pressured, throws it deep, and the ball is caught by T. Higgins at the 1-yard line. And it's actually called a touchdown. Somehow Higgins got it across the line.
And my big question there is, why is Mekhi Blackman standing with his arms at his sides, not trying to prevent T. Higgins from getting in the end zone, trying to knock that ball loose? And I can play it for you again if you missed that on the original broadcast.
No, that's exactly what I was going to say. You're
ridiculous.
Exactly right, AJ. He's standing around looking, just like on the Mixon touchdown, guys are standing around. Blackman should be trying to knock the ball out, which could be like the Jefferson play in Philadelphia, could be a touchback going the other way. And he's just kind of standing there. Okay, yeah, you're making the play. Yeah. No, you got to get to the ball and prevent that from happening. It should never happen. At worst, it should be 1st and goal at the 1-yard line, which they still might score. But Blackman, that's a rookie mistake.
Yeah.
And very costly, as we've seen. Before we go to overtime and hit the last couple bad highlights or lowlights, let's talk about our great sponsor, the Select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers. There are trucks, then there's the truck, GMC Sierra, with available features like the V8 engine, the ultimate luxury interior, and of course, the available world's 6-function multi-pro tailgate. GMC Sierra, not just any truck, the truck. GMC's continuous commitment to professional-grade engineering is on full display at your local GMC dealer. Come take a test drive today and see for yourself. We are professional-grade. GMC. Just in time for the holidays, well-qualified buyers get 0.9% APR on 2023 Sierra light-duty models, plus no monthly payments for 90 days. See your Select Minnesota GMC dealer today. Length of contract limited, deferred monthly payments for 90 days. Excludes residents of Pennsylvania. Must finance with GM Financial. Down payment required at signing if applicable. Finance charges accrue from data financing. Some customers will not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 1/2/24. On to overtime we go. The last 2 lowlights. And we talked before about the tush push of the Vikings and Brandon Powell behind Nick Mullins. Just a horrible, horrible play design in this situation. And here is the result.
With Chandler in the backfield, and it's Powell again, and Mullins does not get there. A second shove doesn't get it done.
Does not get it done, and they go to the same exact play.
Just a ridiculous bad call.
Yeah.
Ty Chandler should have got the ball in that situation, or don't play fake, throw it to Jefferson or Addison. Do something different than what you just got stuffed on the play before. Okay, so we'll see if they've learned their lesson about that one when the Lions come to town on Sunday and going forward. Sets up the Bengals in great field position, and really the game-winning play in this situation. Browning again. Flores throws the blitz at him. Danielle Hunter puts the pressure on. Browning coolly scampers outside and hits Tyler Boyd, their third receiver, going against the Vikings' number one corner, Byron Murphy, on a crossing route, comes all the way across the field. And then Evans misses the tackle. Bynum misses the tackle. Murphy, too, and 44 yards sets up the winning field goal. But here's the play.
Browning, the Vikings with some pressure. Browning flush, throws it downfield. The ball's caught by Boyd. Keeps his footing inside the 30. Cuts inside the 20, the 15, and the Bengals have the ball down to the 12-yard line.
Yeah, you notice Harrison Smith on the blitz there getting knocked down, and I think Harrison may be better served to be back helping in coverage on this secondary with these young corners that are having a lot of issues. And Caleb Evans was lucky, too, on the first drive in overtime by Cincinnati when he blatantly interfered with Higgins on a play. So it shouldn't even come down to the Vikings having the tush push, because the Bengals should have been able to drive down for the winning field goal on the first series. But it did happen. That's the way it went. And let's hear from the coach after the game, Kevin O'Connell.
Very unfortunate. Come on the road and you battle a team that's playing well right now. Felt like we let one slip away, but I think you got to credit the Bengals, getting their offense going there in the second half, and just didn't capitalize on, our last opportunity offensively there in overtime, needing just a couple inches to get the first down, and they were able to get us stopped. Thought we had a good look at it on third down. Officials spotted it otherwise, so they probably had a better look than I did. And we got to be able to get a little bit more than that in that moment on an inches type situation. Thought Nick Mullins stepped in, led us to a very efficient day, on offense, some explosives via the play pass, got the run game going. Thought Ty Chandler was outstanding. And then defensively, played a great first half that allowed us to really score on our first drives of each half and at least generate a lead that we were unfortunately unable to hold on to there. But you got to credit Jake Browning and Zach and their offense for hitting the gas there in the second half a little bit.
And here's Justin Jefferson, and as you'll see, very astutely says a lot of these games are being lost due to self-inflicted wounds.
I feel like we were all together, and he leaned on each one of us to help him throughout the game. So he did a fantastic job.
Where do you guys go from here?
We feel like every time we lose, it's self-inflicted. It's not nothing that we're getting outbeat on, physically outbeat on. So we just need to fix the few things that we need to fix on offense, defense, and special teams. Come back next week with a divisional game at home. So it's definitely a good week to bounce back and get a dub for the division.
Appreciate you.
Just like you came in late, but how did it feel being back out there?
Oh, I felt great. I felt great to play a full game again. Felt great to be out there with my teammates and making plays. So it's definitely been a long time coming.
How tough was it on those back-to-back plays? The tush push didn't work.
Oh yeah, it's definitely tough. It's a game of inches. We had a few inches to get on that fourth down and wasn't able to get it. So that's the tough part, and especially when the defense give us the ball in overtime, we have the opportunity to go down, score, to put the game away, and we can't get a few inches to continue to drive. That's the tough part about it. But we had some great things that we've done in this game. Nick played outstanding the whole entire game, so we just got to lean on that, think about the positives, going to tomorrow and the rest of the week, fixing our mistakes, and be ready for the divisional game next week.
Yeah, I'm not sure I agree he played outstanding the entire game. He's talking about Nick Mullins. Had some good moments, had some bad moments, as we know. And talked earlier about Danielle Hunter in the game. First of all, JJ, I thought really made some fantastic catches, contorted catches, as we said. And the thing, too, is guys like Jordan Addison, T.J. Hockenson benefit from having Jefferson back on the field as he commands double coverage, and that'll be the case again against Detroit. Addison particularly able to have a big day, 100-yard day, 2 touchdown receptions. Vikings going into this game against Detroit need to get healthy. Brian O'Neill is missed when he's out of the lineup, even though he struggled a little bit in his last couple games, and Vikings hope he comes back from his ankle injury along with Alexander Madison, but Chandler should be the guy going forward. I think he's shown that. Jordan Hicks, as we said earlier, is returning to practice, may get an opportunity to play against Detroit. And what about Marcus Davenport? Kind of disappearing act. 2 months ago, he went on injured reserve, and $13 million edge rusher or outside linebacker. We don't hear much about him these days. We'll see if he makes it back. But as we said, Daniil Hunter, let's hear from Daniil talking about the defense against Cincinnati.
Guys going out there giving their all, and then just coming up short, man. But, you got to go in the film and correct the things that we need to correct on offense, defense, and special teams.
What do you think the Bengals are doing well lately that you guys just couldn't figure it out?
It's a great football team. We game planned against them. Unfortunately, we had more mistakes than they had, and we lost the turnover battle, so they came out on top.
For you, the season you're having, just what does this mean for you personally?
I'm a guy about just going out there and doing what I need to do for my teammates. It's not about me, it's about the team, so doing what I can for them.
From your vantage point, what happened on that last play where Browning hit Boyd for that touchdown, or for the play that set up the field goal?
They just made a play. At the end of the game, nothing we could have done about that. Just threw the ball downfield and they made a play.
Made the play against the blitz that they should have been blitzing Jake Browning in that situation. Let's hear again before we go around the league and talk a little bit more about the Lions game coming up and talk about what happened over the weekend in the NFL. But let's hear from our great sponsor, the Select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers.
There are trucks, then there's the truck, GMC Sierra, with available features like the V8 engine, the ultimate luxury interior, and of course, the available world's first 6-function multi-pro tailgate. GMC Sierra, not just any truck, the truck. GMC's continued commitment to professional-grade engineering is on full display at your local GMC dealer. Come take a test drive today and see for yourself. We are professional-grade GMC. Well-qualified buyers step up to GMC with 0.9% APR on 2023 Sierra light-duty models. Plus, no monthly payments until 2024. See your local GMC dealer today. Length of contract limited. Deferred monthly payments for 120 days. Excludes residents of Pennsylvania and Maine. Must finance with GM Financial. Down payment required at signing if applicable. Finance charges accrue from date of financing. Some customers will not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 12/4/23.
So around the league over the weekend, and the Detroit Lions, as we talked about, heading to U.S. Bank Stadium on Sunday, coming off kind of a renewed confidence game for them after they had lost 2 of their last 4, including in Chicago the week before, and to the Packers on Thanksgiving. Well, they got things right. Jared Goff especially, who had 8 turnovers his previous 4 games, he threw 5 touchdown passes against the Denver Broncos. They blew them out 42-17. And the Lions are going to come to town with a potent offense, ranked 3rd in the league. Goff, David Montgomery, 6th in rushing. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 5th in receiving. Sam Laporta, 9 TD receptions. Their defense, middle of the pack, like the Vikings. And it's going to be a game where the Vikings are going to have to make plays. They're going to have to move the ball on Detroit, try to keep them off the field. Running the ball is going to be important this week. So we'll see how that plays out. Around the league, Baker Mayfield has his best game as a Buck. 381 yards passing, 4 touchdowns in a 2-touchdown win over the Packers. It was big for the Vikings, knocked the Packers back to 6-8. The Rams, as we said earlier, are the biggest threat for the Vikings for the 6th seed. I think the 6th seed is very important still because you don't want to, if you make the playoffs, you don't want to face San Francisco, Dallas, or Philly in that wild card round. You want to hopefully go to Detroit. And the Rams have an easier schedule going forward. The Bears' 2-game winning streak stopped in Cleveland. I thought the Bills were very impressive. Ripped Dallas 31-10 in Buffalo. Big game for the Bills that they needed to win. And other games around the league coming up this weekend. Interesting games in the playoff race. You've got the Dolphins and Cowboys meeting, 2 10-4 teams. San Francisco and Baltimore on Christmas night, and that's the top teams in each conference are going to go at it. And the Vikings face the Lions on Sunday. We're going to be back on Thursday and break it down, talk about all the specifics about both teams. It should be obviously a very important and exciting game coming up on Sunday at US Bank Stadium. This has been Jeff Diamond's Purple Report, brought to you every Monday and Thursday during the Viking season by your select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers on 1500 ESPN, available 24/7 on YouTube via links from the 1500 ESPN and Score North websites. This is Jeff Diamond with AJ Fredrickson. Everybody have a good week. We'll talk to you on Thursday and look forward to a good week.